you're not familiar with planets, it's about the main character, Tanabe joins the debris section of the Technora Corporation as they work to remove space debris left around Earth. As Tanabe tries to get used to space life, she learns more about her crew and the world itself. Wanted to give a shout out to the inspiration of this video. Chords did a really thoughtful video about a couple different seinen manga that are underrated, so I wanted to give that video a shout out. You can find it in the link in the description. Definitely check it out, it's a good video. Let's talk about the positives. I think at first, I thought this was gonna be just a simple workplace comedy in space. It turns into a story about isolation mainly, and what you're able to do for your goals, what you're willing to, and all the negatives and the positives of the human experience. Makoto Yukimura, who originally did, or I guess after this, did Vinland Saga, and he tells a story about what could happen as, if we do end up going to space, that becomes the norm. And I think, obviously it won't be completely like this, but I do see where he was coming from with these rich corporations would be definitely the ones thriving on this type of space travel or being the norm, while the poorer countries have to suffer to make these resources to get them up there. And with that also comes pollution, which even the smallest little screw causes human deaths, as we saw in the intro. In space it's just different. So you think the people collecting this debris would be more important, right? But now the debris section, they're at this abandoned hangar area that's, yeah, and they're not being paid what they should be paid, of course. And yeah, what's also interesting is you'd think that these episodes would be episodic, but they actually do all connect together. There's that one episode with the homeless ninjas. I thought that was just going to be it was a good episode, but I thought it was going to be throwaway, but it actually connects later into the story. Let's get into some of these characters though. We got Hachimachi, who he definitely represents the human's determination to risk his job, his friends, and even his girlfriend for the chance to go into space. That's his main goal. He wants his own spaceship, so he's doing whatever it takes to do that, even his own self-isolation. And this is difficult because he's not a bad person. I just think he's very flawed, and I do agree you need to make sacrifices if you want to achieve your dreams, but I don't think it should be at the cost of isolation entirely. But that's why we have Tanabe, our next main character, who is, I think she is, she even mentions it many times, she's the love of humanity, the hope for it. She has moments where she could be very selfish, but despite that, she always thinks of others before herself. I think other really conflicting characters are Claire and Hakim. They want to get their country out of war and poverty, and I don't agree with terrorism. That's where they end up going, but you kind of understand where they come from. They're just taking the really drastic measures, but they tried so hard. They tried to move up the top at both of their different positions so they tried it that way. That didn't work. So I don't know if that would be the next solution, but you kind of can understand, even though you don't agree on it, you kind of understand where they're coming from. That's what makes them so well-written characters. Shinshin's a very uncomfortable character. He forces himself upon Tanabe, and it luckily doesn't go as far as it could have, but it still, he still attempts to force himself upon her. So, and he from that point was so privileged. He's given so many opportunities, but he's still greedy. which I found that like it really like put me at uneasiness, because there's just so many people out there that are like that. Like maybe even if they don't, there's just something about having it all, but the one thing you don't get, like you're still like obsessive over it. You want to attain it. Like there's something evil and like greedy about. And I like the rest of the debris section. Some of them are comedic for the most part, but we do have characters like Yuri who he's growing to accept the passing of his wife, and I like that he got to, you know, he had his grief, and he's grown from it. And we have um, Elgard. I probably pronounced her name wrong, but she has a bad experience in a toxic relationship, so they talk about that. Arvin, the one of the managers, he was a comedic character through most of the series, but even he has a moment about moving past like just the paycheck, like thinking about someone, you know, other than himself. Sound design, because it really builds up this like really isolated atmosphere. There's barely any music in the series. Like you're just getting the wrist guards with like the air pumping out, or like the visors that kind of like the move around, or you know, like you're only kind of hearing those noise and the, you know, the characters speaking. So it really builds like it perfectly works with the isolated atmosphere, the loneliness that the series is like really going for. Backgrounds, you get like specific kind of details about like how I like how certain sections of the world, like that are like really cold colors, and like debris sections more lighter colors. There's like little moments like that. I love how the suits are designed, and how they function too. Like they use like their fingers, but they have like buttons on each finger to like enhance. And they get the, like I mentioned, the air gauntlets. Like there's just so much thought put into like everything, not just in the story itself, but the designs, the artwork. I also just liked a lot of the other like world building of the series, and it all connecting to the main story. Like I already talked about the homeless ninjas, but there was also like episodes about what would life insurance be like in you know, this world. What would being buried out in space be like? What would, you know, a lot of other different scenarios like that. And I'll say the negatives I have are I think a character that I still really enjoyed, but I wish she had a little bit more character development, was Fee. Her episode with wanting to smoke, it was funny. Like I liked the episode. I just felt like we were going somewhere with the her being addicted, and it just ends on a joke. So it's not. It could have been so much better, and we don't get another episode really with her, which is disappointing. The romance between Tanabe and Hashino, I don't enjoy it. Honestly, I eventually accept it because it's a part of the main story. But the reason I don't like it is because they just start out. It's the typical like butting heads, rival characters that, oh, they actually have feelings for each other. I I think it's definitely worked in the past. I mean, like one of my favorite romances is, you know, like that, exactly that. But for this one, it just just wasn't enough time to develop the relationship for me to really feel like the drama they have. They've only been dating for like maybe, I don't know, a few days. Like it's nothing like that I feel like would be that serious. Other than those negatives I have, I think this is a really well thought out sci-fi series. I think this made me question a lot of things because we are getting closer and closer to this kind of space travel. I don't know if we're gonna exactly quite be there. It's hard to say. I might not even be alive by then, but you know, we billionaires do just go to space just for fun. So I think giving the context of this series now, predicted so much, I feel, that we haven't even seen yet. My rating for this is an 8.5 out of 10. I still think this is a really good series. And, you know, if you do want to watch it, I will say it's tough to find. I would probably just read the manga personally. You can find that really anywhere. They just released an omnibus for the series, so you can find it pretty much anywhere you get manga, that I saw at least. And if you do want to watch the anime, I mean, it is really good anime, so I get it. I found it on YouTube. I will say not all the episodes were mixed super well, and not all of them are in sub and dub, so you really do gotta search for it. If you enjoyed Planets, I don't have a anime necessarily, but I do have a Western animated series, Scavenger's Reign. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. There's some really well thought out world building, and it kind of has that similar vibe to Planets, like really well written characters, super interesting sci-fi world. Definitely go check it out. It's on Netflix now. I know it recently got added to Netflix, so definitely give that a watch. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Stay cozy, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day.